Hey there, it's Seth, and I'm back with another process from the Feldenkrais Method that can potentially help you to improve your Wim Hof breath practice. And as always, this is a beneficial practice for you, even if you are not practicing Wim Hof Method. Now, I've made a series of videos already on this topic, and basically I'm always building on this theme of how the breath is supposed to move in a kind of a wave. And I was more recently in my own Wim Hof practice doing some sessions where I was exploring a sort of faster, more vigorous, like a power breathing style session. And that got me thinking about how the entire skeleton can really get involved in that movement and what happens when we speed up the tempo like that. So this particular session is really building on a sort of a faster movement up and down, and it's kind of the beginning of something that I'd like to develop further in a video that I'll put out shortly after this one. But this should be enough to get you started, to feel, I think, a real difference in your breath work afterwards, and particularly if you're interested in doing a power breathing kind of style practice, you might enjoy this session. Please lie on your back and bend your knees, stand your feet, place the soles of the feet on the floor about shoulder width apart. And now every time you breathe in, expand your belly. Don't force, but just have the intention for the next few breaths that every time you breathe in, you'll expand your belly. Maybe you can feel your pubic bone reaching down a little bit away from the head. And then on the next inhale, do something different. Draw your belly up and in under your ribs so that you expand your chest, and keep doing that for a few breaths. So each time you breathe in, you flatten the belly and you feel the expansion through your chest. And now with each breath in, alternate. One time breathe in and expand the belly, and the next time breathe in and expand the chest. Go back and forth between these two ways of breathing. Feel how this changes the shape of your spine. Allow your head and your pelvis to respond to the movements of your breathing. Okay, and then take a rest. And now do a very similar movement, but you'll think of it in a different way. So bring your attention to how your pelvis lies on the floor. And now slowly begin to rock your pelvis once up in the direction of your head, and then down in the direction of your feet. And keep doing that, going up and down the floor, and just observe the shapes in your torso. And also observe how are you coordinating these two movements of the pelvis with your breathing. If you synchronize the movement with your breath, obviously you can do that two ways. So just notice which movement you're making on the inhalation right now, which movement you're making on the exhalation, and then after you do a few movements, just pause long enough to reverse the coordination. So whichever direction the pelvis was moving on the inhale, you make that movement now on the exhale, and vice versa. And again, just observe how the movement of your pelvis influences the shape of your spine. Notice what you do with your belly as your pelvis moves up the floor and down. And now leave everything alone and stretch your legs long on the floor. And now please bring your attention to the contact of your heels with the floor. And begin to make a movement of reaching your feet down away from your head. So you reach your toes further down past your heels, but stay connected to the ground with your heels. Maybe you can even feel how you can use your heels as leverage to help reach downwards. And maybe you can feel that as you open the front of your ankles, the movement passes through the whole length of your skeleton. Can you feel that you can, at least to a small degree, pull yourself a little down the floor with this movement? Okay, rest for a moment. And now again, keeping a real sense of clear contact through your heels. So you might press them just gently into the floor, but this time move the tops of your feet upwards towards your shins. Make the movement and let go, but then repeat the movement and see if this movement too can pass up through your legs into your hip joints, up through your spine. And then, staying connected to the floor with the back of your heels, begin to alternate. Take your feet towards you and away. Now, what might be useful as you continue doing this movement, and you can also take rests whenever you wish. Don't work too hard here. This can be maybe more work than you're used to doing in your calf muscles, but just come in and out as you need to. But instead of thinking of the front of your feet going up and down, can you think of what's happening in the back? So again, your heels are attached to the floor, but think of lengthening the back of your legs as the tops of your feet come up, and then shortening behind the ankle when the feet are pointing away from the head. Okay, pause and rest for a moment. And now just bend your left leg so that you can stand the left foot on the floor. Keep your right leg long. And what you were doing a moment ago, just do it now with your right heel connected to the floor. Move your right foot up and down, and you'll feel that you can also get support from your left foot, but just feel, if you primarily direct the movement from your right leg, how does that movement pass up through your pelvis into your spine? Your position is a bit asymmetrical now, obviously. Feel, where does the pressure move on the back of your pelvis? Do you find that your head is rolling a little to one side as you make the movements? And just go at a comfortable pace. Again, you can pause whenever you like. So just see how this feels. And then pause and lengthen your left leg again. Just take a moment to feel the two sides of your body. If something is different in how one leg rests on the floor compared to the other, how your pelvis rests. Notice how your breathing moves through the middle of you after this asymmetrical movement. And now stand the right foot, keeping the left leg long, connect the left heel to the floor, and again begin moving your foot towards and away from your head to generate this movement up through your pelvis, up through your spine, all the way up through your head. But feel how smoothly does the movement pass through on this side. Maybe this side is simpler for you, or maybe you find it's not quite as available. Don't worry about making the two sides the same. Just do what's comfortable here. Again, pausing and resting so that you don't feel that you have to strain, but just play with the movement a little more. You can make gentle use of your right foot to support you as well in the movement. But now lengthen both legs again and rest. And now with your legs long, do a little of what you did at the beginning. Each time you breathe in, expand your belly, and then on the next breath, draw your belly up and in and expand your chest. Just see what that feels like at this point. And then go back to making the movement with both feet up and down, using the leverage of your heels into the floor. And see, are you getting a clearer transmission of this movement up through your legs, into your pelvis, and up through your spine? Does your head bob up and down now? And if the movement feels clear, can you begin to make it a little faster? Now you can still rest whenever you like, but the idea here is that you're going to make it into a kind of an oscillation. And think of your middle as being like jello, just bouncing up and down. And as you do this, how are you breathing? If you make the oscillation fast enough, then probably you're making more than one movement for every inhale and more than one movement for every exhale. So just see if you can actually keep the breath relatively slow in comparison to the movement you're making, this oscillation. And then let it go. Rest completely. And I'm going to offer you a continuation of this process sometime soon. But just see if what you've done up to this point gives you more of a sense of connection from head to toe. And if you practice Wim Hof breath work, if you were to now begin a breathwork session thinking of filling your belly and then your chest and then your head, is there something about this oscillation movement that you've been practicing that translates into that breathwork practice? So you don't need to necessarily try to deliberately combine the movements you were just making with the breath work, but if you are lying on your back and drawing in the breath and letting it go, just the normal Wim Hof breathwork practice that I'm going to assume you are familiar with if you're following along at this point, just notice to what degree this also creates skeletal movement. And previously in some of the videos I've emphasized the movement of the pelvis and the spine and the head, but now maybe you can even feel that there's a way that the connection of the heels to the floor provides a little bit of momentum. And especially if you were to accelerate your breathing, if you were to do more of a kind of a power breathing style session, can you feel how that might resonate again from head to toe? So, as I already mentioned, I plan to make a follow-up video on this one, but I hope this was helpful to you, and look out for the continuation coming soon. Hey, I hope this was helpful to you. If you enjoyed the video, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment, and also please do check out movewithseth.com. You can head over there and pick up a free training that I have created just for you, and I'll see you next time.